Most people grow up thinking wealth is only for people who earn huge salaries, people with special careers, or people born into the right family. But the surprising truth is that wealth has almost nothing to do with income and almost everything to do with time. You don't need six figures, you don't need luck, you don't need perfect timing. You need $20 a day and enough patience to let your money become something you never thought it could become. Wealth isn't built by the people who make the most money. It's built by the people who understand how long it takes for money to multiply. Before we get deep into the math, take 1 second and hit subscribe. If you want money to finally make sense and stop feeling like a mystery, this channel will change how you see your financial future. Now, let's follow the story of Zoe. Zoe isn't special. She's not a financial expert. She doesn't make a massive income. She doesn't win the lottery or stumble into some miracle investment. Zoe is just a regular person who makes a small decision that almost nobody else makes. She sets aside $20 a day and invests it. Not into something exotic, not into something risky, not into anything complicated. She invests it into a simple S&P 500 index fund, a basket of the 500 largest companies in the United States, companies that grow, shrink, survive, innovate, and compound over decades. $20 a day might not sound like much. It's one quick restaurant meal, one delivery order, one subscription you forgot you're paying for, one impulse buy. But for Zoe, $20 is not a purchase, it's a seed. Every day she buys a tiny piece of hundreds of companies. Every day she gives her money a job. The early years feel painfully slow. After 5 years, Zoe has contributed $36,000. Her account sits around $46,000. $10,000 of growth in 5 years feels underwhelming. This is the moment when 90% of people quit. They look at the numbers and think the whole process just isn't worth the effort. They say the returns are too small and the growth is too slow. What they don't realize is that compounding doesn't reward you in the beginning. It builds quietly, silently, invisibly. It's like pushing a snowball at the top of a mountain. The first few feet feel pointless. The snowball barely grows. But every inch forward increases its size, and every increase in size increases its ability to grow faster. After 10 years, Zoe has invested $72,000. Her account reaches about $92,000. She's ahead, but not by much. Most people, again, would stop here. They'd say it's too slow. They'd convince themselves that wealth is only for people with more money. But Zoe keeps going because she understands that compounding is not a straight line. It is a curve that stays flat for a while and then suddenly bends upward, shocking anyone who stayed patient enough to see it. By year 15, Zoe has contributed $108,000. Her account hits around $163,000. Something important has happened. For the first time, the money Zoe already invested is working harder than she is. Every dollar she saved years ago is now producing more growth than the new dollars she's contributing. Most people never experience this moment because they never stay invested long enough. They quit before the math begins to wake up. By year 20, Zoe has contributed $144,000. Her account passes $268,000. Almost half of her entire net worth now comes from money she didn't lift a finger for. The money she invested years ago is now generating more growth every year than she used to make in a month. This is the moment compounding becomes real, the moment the snowball becomes so large that every roll makes it larger at a faster rate. Then year 25 arrives. Zoe has invested $180,000 and her account blasts to around $430,000. It took her 20 years to accumulate the first $200,000. It took just 5 more years to add another $200,000. This is the unfair part of compounding. Once the snowball gets large enough, the growth feels explosive. It feels instant. It feels like the money is cheating.
But the truth is, the payoff was building for decades. Between year 26 and 28, Zoe's account grows by an additional $60,000 to $80,000, and she hasn't changed anything. No new plan, no new strategy, just the exact same $20 a day, the same index fund, the same routine. Yet now her money grows faster in 1 year than it grew in the first 5. This is the part nobody warns you about, the part that makes you wish you had started earlier, the part that turns consistency into freedom. Finally, year 30 arrives. Zoe has invested $216,000 of her own money.
But her account? It's now worth more than $540,000. A simple $20 a day treated with consistency and patience quietly became more than $500,000. And if she continues just 5 more years, she'll cross $750,000. 10 more years, and she could be knocking on the door of $1 million. The craziest part, Zoe didn't do anything special. She didn't pick winning stocks, she didn't time the market, she didn't increase her contributions dramatically. She just stayed in the game long enough for time to take care of the heavy lifting. Time is the greatest investment tool ever created, and the most ignored. People underestimate what 10 or 15 years can do, and then they regret what 30 years could have done. Wealth isn't the result of big moves. It's the result of small moves repeated for long periods. People always ask, what if Zoe had started earlier? The answer is almost unbelievable. If she started 5 years earlier, she'd finish with around $880,000. If she started 10 years earlier, she'd pass $1.4 million. That's the difference time makes. Not a little more, but exponentially more. And then there's the other question. What if someone starts late? Starting late is not failure. Starting late still works. If someone begins at 35, they still end with over $300,000. If they start at 40, they still finish with around $200,000. The only true failure is waiting forever. Late is not the enemy. Never is the enemy. $20 a day won't change your life next week, but $20 a day will absolutely change your life 10, 20, 30 years from now. That is the math. That is the system. That is compounding. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't require genius. It only requires time. Zoe didn't become wealthy because she found a shortcut. She became wealthy because she found consistency. Compounding didn't care about her job title, her background, her education, or her income. It cared about one thing, that she kept going. If you want money to stop feeling overwhelming and start becoming something you understand and control, subscribe to Net Plus. This is where money becomes simple, where the math is honest, and where your financial future finally becomes clear.